Dear Evan Hansen took the world by storm when it premiered in 2015 at Washington, D.C.'s Stage Theater. It opened with plenty of critical acclaim, and many people say that it helped open dialogue about teen mental health and youth suicide. The music of Dear Evan Hansen was written by the amazing duo of Ben Pasek and Justin Paul, while the book, or the story of the musical, was written by Stephen Levinson. It's an original story that follows a teenage boy called Evan Hansen who deals with crippling social anxiety. At school, Evan Hansen has a run-in with another troubled teen called Connor Murphy.
Connor, loving the new hair length, very school shooter chic. I was just kidding. It was a joke. Yeah, no, it was funny. I'm laughing, can't you tell? Am I not laughing hard enough for you? You're such a freak. What the fuck are you laughing at? What? Stop fucking laughing at me!
No, I'm not.
You think I'm a freak?
No, I don't.
I'm not the freak.
But I wasn't laughing.
You're the fucking...
Then, a series of events and a sudden tragedy lead everyone to believe that Evan Hansen and Connor Murphy were best friends. In terms of the actors, I thought Ben Platt was very relatable as Evan Hansen.
Dear Evan Hansen, today is going to be an amazing day, and here's why. Because today, all you have to do is just be yourself. But also confident, that's important, and interesting, like easy to talk to, approachable, but mostly be yourself. That's the big, that's number one, be yourself.
And Rachel Bay Jones was very likable as Evan's mom, Heidi. Will Rowland was also very funny as Jared, and it was great to see that Ben Platt and Will Rowland had lots of chemistry as they started out as acquaintances and then grew to become friends throughout the course of the musical. In terms of both the casting and the costuming, nothing that I saw felt out of place. All of the characters felt like they were portrayed by actors who really belonged. And same with the costuming. Everything they wore fit in and made sense with their characters and the setting of where they would be. No one was dressed outlandishly or anything like that. So in terms of the technical aspects, the set transitions were very smooth. They mostly took place in the darker parts of the stage, so that you weren't able to really notice anything changing at all. But even when you were able to see a bit, it wasn't jarring, it just kind of happened very quickly as it transitioned to the next set. The lighting was really interesting because most of the stage was dark and there were spotlights on the most important characters in every scene. Okay. The spotlights really helped to set up the tone. Sometimes there would be different colored spotlights that indicated different emotions, like a blue spotlight when Evan was feeling maybe very upset. The set design in the musical was very minimalist. It really only showed maybe a couple pieces of furniture in some scenes. There were no fancy decorations or anything like that. You would only see the furniture that was needed for the scene. Like, you would see Evan sitting on his bed, you would see just his bed and his bedside table, but you wouldn't get to see any of the rest of the furnishings in his room. At some points, this made it feel more like it solidified Evan's loneliness as he's sitting in his room writing a letter to himself on his computer. But the set designs were also very nice to look at. They were very sleek and they were well designed. So the script was a charming script and it was pretty funny at times, but when it wanted to tackle the more serious issues, it could also get emotional. The pacing didn't feel jarring between points where it was funny and then when it would get more emotional. It would give audiences some time to have a reaction to whatever had just happened. but it wouldn't leave people to sit with it for too long before moving on to the next point, so no one was stewing in whatever emotion they just felt for too long. One more really interesting technical aspect were that the musical featured these interesting glass screens that had projections on them, and what you would see on the projections is what you would see if you were to look at the characters' phones during parts where the characters are looking at their phones or even like their laptops to see things like social media. And I thought that even though it wasn't really important to the story, it was really nice to have those screens because it helped the audiences to feel like they were a part of the story and able to see what the characters saw and know what they knew because of it. So it was really cool that they had that feature, which is also a fairly new and modern thing to do in a musical. In terms of the musical numbers, the music would sometimes, during the emotional parts, it could start out very slow, but then it would build to be very powerful, where the characters would gain strength as they gained confidence in what they were saying, and the instrumentals would follow that and also gain more power and more volume as it went along. So that was very nice to hear. But as well as those more emotional songs, they also made sure to include a balance of songs that were more fast-paced and high energy to be fun and really make sure that nothing got too serious. So Dear Evan Hansen tackles a lot of themes that are significant to living in the modern day. It talks about a lot of the difficulties of living with social anxiety through Evan and how he has crippling social anxiety. It shows the importance of having love and support in the people around you, also through Evan and how lonely he feels, but it shows that with Connor as well. And another thing that it shows is how sometimes you can find family in very unexpected places, as happens to Evan throughout the musical. So in conclusion, Dear Evan Hansen is very modern, and it's very nice looking. The transitions are nice, the lighting is nice. It's really nice to look at, but it has style, but it also doesn't lack substance. There's a lot of substance as well. It goes over very meaningful issues, and it does it in an honest and genuine way that it can feel very relatable to people, but that doesn't let it get too serious or somber. It's never miserable or too sad, so it stays enjoyable so that people will also want to watch it. And I think that audiences leaving this musical after watching it will feel hope that they too will be found.